I'm here. Sorry, guys. My last meeting went overtime, but it was well worth it. Super excited for us to finish the afternoon stream over here on this side. Really, really excited. Your girl was a little late doing some YouTube business. I just finished meeting with one of my coaches. We have a solid game plan for the rest of this year and going into 2025. Like I'm just so pumped that it was worth it. It was worth being a little bit late, but guess what we have? We have TiVo time. Super excited to go to the afternoon session. If you were with us earlier today, we were watching the earlier session, the morning session with Lead, but we are going to pick it up with the afternoon. I'm curious to see what's going on because Ashleigh Merchant's client could be testifying. A few other people are lined up to testify as well. And we're going to go from there. So why don't we go ahead, jump on in, share screen, pick it up after lunch when everybody gets back, and we will dive.
No.
Who was it?
Was it?
I don't even
Mr.
remember.
Adams?
Whomever had the issue with.
It was
Okay.
Mr. Adams.
Mr. Adams, were you able to get with?
And Your Honor,
He's not here.
I actually think Mr. Adams and Ms. Love are
Working
speaking
on
about
it
that
now?
very
Okay,
issue.
that's great. However, we need to, I guess, get the witness and the jury back in soon. So
Yes,
can
Your
you
Honor.
step out and see if they're finished?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, looks like we were missing a few folks.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll just recess in place for a few minutes and give them a chance to get finished with.
All right, so they were waiting for a few people to get back from lunch.
Is Dennis coming back at some other point in time? Or have you narrowed his testimony or hers? His?
I will double check.
Okay.
believe he's coming back after this, but I don't want to speak.
Okay. Well, I mean, it certainly would be fine with the court if y'all have determined that he'll only take one day instead of 3 or 4. I just was wondering.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
All right, they were not back timely from lunch. Let's skip ahead. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, then let's get the jury back. Thank you.
She's in the middle of her direct examination. So it's likely we're going to see some cross on this. Also doing a sound check. I see Mishmash saying your mic, is the mic okay? Is it too loud? What's going on? What about the mic? Or is it their mic? Look at Von Shia becoming a member. Welcome, Von Shia. Red Bunny Classic became a member. And then gifted 10 memberships. Please say thank you if you just got a membership from Red Bunny Classic. Very, very sweet of you. Y'all are saying that Nathan Wade was in court today. I heard. Today is Wednesday, right? It was. I thought it was a closed door session.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Ms. Love.
Thank you, Judge. You may have a seat. Investigator Kilgore. Investigator Kilgore, I want to just clarify something that you touched on before we broke for lunch. When you said that once evidence is brought into the lab and entered into the NIBIN system, a correlation is done. How many people did correlations back in 2015 on the evidence that was brought in that was from the crime scenes that we're talking about?
At the time, I was the only one doing the correlations.
Would you do me a favor and lean into a microphone, whichever the court tells you to.
Sorry, it's not on. Push the button. Sure. It's a red light on. Okay.
Yep, there we go. At the time, I was the only one doing the correlations.
All right. Were you the only one with that training to do the correlations?
No, there was one other person trained, but at the time I was doing all of the correlations.
All right. And once you did a correlation, what was the purpose of the report that you spoke about earlier?
Just to show that the crime lab processed the evidence and did a report on it.
Was it then possible for a report to be generated by someone besides yourself on a correlation that you did?
Yes.
Okay.
The person that enters the evidence may not be the one correlating it. And again, at the time, I was the only one doing the correlations.
Okay.
So they may have entered the evidence, but then I would do the final correlation and look at the results.
And is the correlation, that particular act, is that particular expertise that which sets you apart from someone else in the lab?
Yes.
All right. So we were talking about the crime scene or the incident number 150080094.
Yes.
Right? And what evidence did the crime lab at the Atlanta Police Department put into NIBIN for that particular crime scene?
We received a sealed package with 6 9mm cartridge cases.
All right. And when you put those cartridge cases into NIBIN, were there any leads generated?
Yes, there were.
Okay. And what were the case numbers for the leads that were generated?
The 150080094 had a potential lead with 161031208.
Repeat the last number.
The 150080094, and then the other one was 161031208.
Okay. And if you would just slow it down enough when you're talking so that the court reporter can get all those numbers. Now, when you speak of a potential lead, is that because you have not sent it to the crime lab at the GBI or the ATF for that final firearms examiner to look at it under an even higher power?
Yes.
Microscope?
The NIBIN lead is just a preliminary lead until it's examined by a firearms examiner and confirmed, then it's preliminary.
Do the NIBIN leads allow Atlanta police to further their investigations into certain crimes?
Yes, it enables them to be able to look at the other crimes, but it's not enough for a warrant or anything like that.
All right. And let me ask you this. In the event, hypothetically, that you look at evidence, you do the correlation, that evidence matches a crime scene, and someone comes in and says, oh yeah, I did it, once confronted with the fact that there was a NIBIN hit. Generally, is it the practice of the Atlanta Police Department to go a step further if it's not a murder? In other words, do they send it to the crime lab if they have someone who is already admitting to it?
Yes, they will still send it to the crime lab.
Okay. And is that in every instance that they send the NIBIN hits to a crime lab?
Not every instance. Sometimes if there's no suspects or victims or anything that we know of, they may hold off on it until something else comes along. But it's every lead is not sent to the crime lab.
Are property damage leads generally sent to the crime lab?
Not generally, not unless they need to follow up with some sort of other crime.
And when I say property damage, what do you understand me to be meaning?
Something where somebody wasn't actually shot.
Okay. Do you have access to the incident reports at the time that you're doing your correlation?
Yes, but we don't generally look at those,
Why?
just to stay unbiased.
So
not to involve ourselves with the crime itself.
So you're with the Atlanta Police Department, but you don't want to involve yourself with the crime itself, you said?
Correct.
Okay. Do you not list on your reports, when you notify the officers, any information about the crime scene itself?
No.
Like a victim or a suspect?
Well, if the victim or suspect, if we have that information, we'll include it on our crime lab report.
Okay.
But that's generally as far as we'll go with it.
And what is the purpose of that information?
Just have it in the report itself.
Okay. On the report generated for 15, and this is for incident number 150080094. And I will label it, Your Honor, and I will not tender it, but I will label it and provide Mr. Adams the copy he requested.
Okay.
I will label it 570 Yankee, Mr. Adams.
Okay.
On that report is the victim Stacy Adams that's listed.
Yes.
And when you spoke about the potential leads to case number 161031208, would you tell the jury what it is that matched from one crime scene to another, or that produced a potential lead from
Yes.
one crime scene to the other?
Yes, 161031208 was a CZ 9mm pistol.
Mhm.
Serial number B180139. 15 9mm cartridges and a magazine. And 150080094 was 6 9mm cartridge cases.
And again, you can't talk about what happened in incident 161031208 or the other one.
I'm not familiar with the particulars.
Your Honor, just for the record, I'm going to call the next exhibit that I refer to 571
Awesome. Welcome,
Yankee
Ronald.
Alpha.
Okay.
Was there a report generated to make an investigative, to alert the officer regarding incident 161031208?
Yes, we printed out a NIBIN lead report. And that information is relayed to the officer to let them know that there was a potential match.
And was that forensic technician Stanton that sent the officer that information, or that generated that report?
Yes, Stanton entered the gun into the NIBIN database.
And that report we have labeled as 571 Yankee
Hey,
Alpha.
Bridget.
Now, would you describe for the jury what the IBIS HD3D match point cartridge case image comparison sheet consists of?
Yes, one side of the sheet is the reference exhibit, which is the one that we put in. The other side of the sheet will be the test exhibit that the computer and the technician look at to say that there is a potential lead between the two.
And go ahead.
All the sheets are separated one side to the other, so that way you can look at them.
And if you would, don't publish anything to the jury until we tender it, okay?
Sorry.
Thank you. Does it
It's a
also
nice
consist
shot.
of a picture of what you are looking at when you are doing the correlation?
Yes, when we mark it as a potential lead, it captures that picture
Okay.
so that anybody else that comes behind us can look at it and be able to see what we were looking at.
And labeling, Your Honor, the next exhibit that I'm going to refer to as 570 Yankee Bravo.
Can I go back and ask you a question? Because
Shout out to the UK.
about you said 570 Yankee, and then you said 571 Yankee Alpha, and then 570 Yankee Bravo. Is
I
that right?
misspoke. It should have been 570 Yankee
Okay.
Alpha.
All right, I was wondering.
My apologies.
No problem.
Mr. Adams. Thank you, Judge. Thank you. And 570 Yankee Bravo being that match point exhibit information with the cartridge sheet. What number did you assign to that? The 444 number, what does that mean?
The 44 number is, as we were getting these leads, we created an Excel spreadsheet.
Mhm.
So that's the number, that was our 444th lead that we generated. So that's where that number is coming from. So we can go back to that spreadsheet and look for that number and be able to find them.
And is that the lead generated for that year?
That's the total number.
Okay, all right. And do you have anything at all to do with locating or apprehending any suspects that are found as a result of these
I do not.
NIBIN hits? Okay. Moving to 15127 0278 and labeling the report regarding that incident number 571 Yankee.
It appears we do, mixed chick.
And for lead number 406 and for lead number 406.
Yes.
All right. Was there a suspect on this particular incident number for the Atlanta Police Department, 151270278, for the item that you entered into NIBIN?
Yes, we listed a suspect of a Quindarius Zachary.
And what piece of evidence did you enter into NIBIN for that particular incident number?
A Bushmaster 223 pistol, serial number D03525 and 31223 cartridge cases.
And was there a NIBIN hit or lead number of 406 for that report?
Yes.
And I'm labeling that 571 Yankee Alpha. What crime scenes did that piece of evidence produce a NIBIN hit to?
It produced a NIBIN lead to 15118-0462.
Right. Did it produce a NIBIN hit or lead for any other crime scene?
Yes, we generated one other lead with that. So that one, the 15118-0462, the first lead, number 406 that we just talked about, was 223 cartridge cases. There were also 7.62 by 39 millimeter cartridge cases on that scene. And that one had a potential match with 15118-0588.
And momentarily, I'm going to ask you to put on the clipboard beside you this information to make it a little bit easier for the jury to understand and absorb, okay? For that last incident number that you listed ending in 0588,
Yes.
did you have either a suspect or a victim listed for that one?
rattling all the paper in the mic.
And I'm turning your attention, let me ask you this, to the 151180462.
A suspect for that one.
A suspect or a victim for that one.
Poll up. We put a poll up. Vote it up.
Yes, that one had a victim of a Denise Beal, B-E-I-L.
Do typos ever happen when this information is being entered?
Yes, sometimes the information's handwritten on the envelopes,
Okay.
so we have to do as best we can with it.
Your Honor, I am labeling the report for 151180462 as 572 Yankee. Is there also a lab case number associated with each of these reports?
Yes, there is. With
Thank you, be serious.
151180462, the lab case number is APD-2016-00216.
Okay. And what was the hit number for that particular incident?
405.
Your Honor, I'm labeling that sheet 572 Yankee Alpha. And turning your attention to 151180288 and the report associated with that incident number, which the state will label 573 Yankee. What is the lab case number for incident 151180288?
Lab case number is APD-2016-00215.
And what is the lead number or hit number for that? Which the state will label 573 Yankee Alpha.
What was in your bowl,
So that
Mike and
one-
Quez?
Had two separate leads on it, numbers 407 and 408.
407 is labeled 573 Yankee Alpha, and 408 is labeled 573 Yankee Beta. What pieces of evidence was it that you put into NIDIN for that incident number, that APD incident number 151180288?
So we received 7 10mm cartridge cases, 9 45 ACP cartridge cases, 14 40 cartridge cases, and 23 223 cartridge cases. So we entered one cartridge case from each of those groups.
And which piece of evidence matched which particular incident number or gave a hit to which particular incident number?
So number 407 was linked with 40 cartridge cases, and 408 was potentially linked with 45 ACP cartridge cases.
And when you said 40 cartridge cases, did you mean the caliber? Or
40 caliber, yes.
Thank you. Now moving along to incident number 15254-0119 and the report for that incident, which the state was labeled 574 Yankee. Would you tell the jury what the lab case number is for that incident report?
APD-2015-00215. 02723.
And were there any potential leads for that particular report?
Yes, let's see.
Was that lead 355?
Yes, it was 355 and 356. There were two potential leads on that one.
Your Honor, we're labeling 355 as 574 Yankee Alpha and 356 as 574 Yankee Charlie. And in the middle, is there a report issued for incident number 150783205?
Yes. 150783205. Correct.
What is the APD lab case number for that report?
APD-2015-01208.
Your Honor, we're labeling that report 574 Yankee Bacon. Would you please tell the jury what pieces of evidence were collected and matched or potentially matched to which incident number?
We received 645 ACP cartridge cases and 340 cartridge cases. So that 356 was with the 45 cartridge cases, 45 ACP cartridge cases.
Okay. Did you also look at or receive evidence from incident numbers where there was not a conniving hit or lead at the time that you did your correlation?
Yes.
For 15274-0150, which, Your Honor, we had previously labeled the report 585 Yankee Alpha, that should be 575 Yankee. What was the APD case number or lab case number for incident 15274-0150?
Lab case number was APD-2015-02795.
And who were the suspects listed on that report?
Diamante Kendricks and Martinez Arnold.
And what was the evidence that was put into conniving for that report?
We received a Smith & Wesson 40 pistol, serial number VJJ9110, and a Romarm 7.62 by 39 millimeter rifle, serial number AO-1820-82RO.
And what was the date of the report that was generated regarding this evidence?
The report date was 12/4/2015.
And since 12/4/2015, have you received no additional information about this particular firearm?
Not at this time. I have not received any potential leads or anything.
Right. And again, does that include ATF or just Atlanta Police Department? You've not gotten any?
I haven't gotten anything from anyone.
And with respect to report 15118-1554, which we will label 576 Yankee, State's Exhibit 576 Yankee, is this one as well that did not produce any?
Correct.
And what was the case number, the lab case number?
APD-2015-01560.
And what was that report date?
7/1/2015.
All right. And the next three as well, I believe did not produce any hits, but you correct me if I'm wrong. We're talking about now what we will label State's Exhibit 577 Yankee for case number 15184-3239. What was the lab case number?
I'm not showing that in my stack.
I'll approach and show you the.
All right, guys, and sorry if you hear some background music. My neighbor is having a dance party, apparently. So great question. Trials to you. I was texting Ashleigh yesterday. She's actually due to be in the courtroom today. So she had been doing witness preparation yesterday and today. We are trying to nail this down. Hopefully it's tomorrow or Friday, but she is going to come on the show. She promises it's her first stop as soon as she is done with this particular witness. I do have his plea deal, so we have that as well to look at, but just wanted to give you guys a heads up on when we can expect Ashleigh over here on this side.
That was APD-2015-02043,
And what was the report date?
11/4/2015.
And who were the suspects that you had as to those or that piece of evidence?
Marcuvus Gray and Trontavius Stevens.
And what was the evidence?
A Taurus 9mm pistol, serial number TAW58741.
And State's Exhibit 578 Yankee, would you tell the jury with respect to incident 1500603?
Well, people from the future are in the chat and they're letting you know court is essentially, we don't know if it's over for the day, but at least the jury has left for the day. So we've got about a little bit over an hour of court time left. So the folks that are ahead of us are letting us know. Spoiler alerts. All right. The spoilers have spoiled, but that's okay. I want to go over the plea deal with Ashleigh Merchant's client anyway, because we saw some issues with Moontunk's email, and look at what happened with Moontunk. They are attempting to revoke his bail, and the hearing for that is this Friday. So definitely want to look at that document with y'all.
01, what the lab case number was for 578
I have
Yankee.
that one. It was APD-2015-01039.
Who were the suspects?
Alexis Greer and Diamante Kendricks.
And what was the evidence?
A Smith & Wesson 40 pistol, serial number DWE8593.
And finally, as to what we are labeling State's Exhibit 579 Yankee for incident 150680293, what was the APD lab case number?
APD-2015-01772.
Okay. Were there any hits for that particular piece of evidence?
There were not.
And what was the evidence?
It was a Sky Industries 9mm pistol, serial number 029828.
All right. As you described earlier, how multiple pieces of evidence could connect with multiple crime scenes, did I ask you before you came in here to diagram out what it was that you were telling to the jury?
Yes, you did.
And would you please diagram out on the flip chart in front of you what it is that you were explaining when you talked about various crime scene evidence matching multiple different crimes?
Yes.
You can have it.
Thank you.
Here. And if you would explain as you draw what it is that you're drawing.
I'm gonna go by the complaint numbers. Just describe the calibers.
That's fine. And Your Honor, after this will be all that I have.
Okay.
And if you could do it like you in school and make sure you don't put your back to the people you talk to.
Okay.
If it's easier
He
for you
talks
to
to like
move that
everyone
to
like a
some
child.
other place, you can do that too.
I wonder if she has kids. Y'all think she has kids?
we're gonna start off with just one complaint number. Put the voice up, okay.
Can't. He's not going to be able to draw and hold a microphone.
See if I can stand further this way.
It-
All right, so we're gonna start off with
That is just,
15254-0119, which was a 45 Ruger pistol. So from that one, we got potential leads, 15118-0588. And also 15078-3205.
Look at this man's handwriting. What is
And
that?
what are those lead numbers?
355.
What does this say?
Would you put them on there?
The jury can't read this.
So from there, this case, 15118-0588, also had 7.62 by 39 cartridge cases. Those 7.62 by 39 cartridge cases link back to 15118-0462. So that is going to be
What is happening?
405.
405. One 0462 also had 223 cartridge cases. These were 7.62 by 39.
And so that our record is clear, when you said these were 762 by 39, which APD incident report number are you talking about?
15118-0462 and 15118-0588. So the 15.
Thank you, Lee.
118-0462 were the 223s. It had a potential link with 15127-0278, which was a 223 firearm. I have to excuse my writing.
Oh, yes, sir. It is excused. Wow.
And there were two previous leads to those 223s.
Brandon, let's go in the house.
We had discussed. So those case numbers were 15027-2672 and 14273-1889.
This is not effective for the jury to see.
So that's all from that section for those particular cases.
Okay.
Now, the 16103-1208 was a CZ 9mm pistol that had a potential link with 15008-0094.
And what number was that? Was that
Thank you, Deonra.
444. And then the last section, you have 15.
He's over here looking for the seventh power.
0288. There were 40 cartridge cases. Had a potential match with 15019-2400. But 15118-0288 also had 0.45 ACP cartridge cases.
We're over here doing some math, but speaking of math, huge shout out to Hannibal on my side today, gifting you guys 20 memberships. If you received a membership from Hannibal, please say thank you to Hannibal. Look at all these memberships that are being distributed. We got Virgo who got a membership. We got Mark Peters who got a membership. We got STK who got a membership. Look at that. Miss Nikki got a membership. Naz Shakur got a membership. Average Savage. Courtney Kardashian is already a member. Liz Smith got a membership. April Smith. Joy Madison. D. Coop. Look at that. We got some memberships happening. The math is mathing over here on this side. Thank you so much, Hannibal, for gifting 20 memberships. Hannibal is your stream sponsor. Let's get back to the debauchery that he is sponsoring. All this math.
We had a potential lead with 150922269. And those were 407 and 408.
And I'm going to give you what has been labeled as State's Exhibit 580 Yankee and ask you, did 580 Yankee accurately reflects what you just drew?
It does.
And Your Honor, as a demonstrative, I'm tendering 580 Yankee.
All right. That's admitted.
No objection as a demonstrative law.
Thank you, Judge. And for
It's like long division.
just as an example of the imagery that you look at, under the microscope. As we're pulling that up, I have a couple of final questions for you. Do you have any way of knowing once a knifing hit comes in, who it was that possessed a particular firearm at any particular time?
I have no idea.
And is that your role to try and figure that out?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, if there is no objection, we would tender the exhibits that we referenced with this witness. But if there is, we can refrain from doing that.
Is your mic on, Ms. Love?
I took it off with the intent to give it to the witness. I apologize.
That's all right.
So we could hear his heartbeat.
May I speak with Mr. Adams?
Sure.
Okay, she's showing him a document. You see that going? We have TiVo time, so we're going to skip ahead of that. It's a long little conversation there.
Cumulative of the witness's testimony, or he testified to the same matters that are contained.
Can I see, is it just like the one are they all essentially like the one I looked at before?
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right, is there a response?
Yes, Your Honor. A couple of things. You're getting the marked up ones that I'm letting Mr. Adams hold, but we're going to give and tender clean copies of
Sure.
those. And as it relates to the reports, in as much as they are reflective of the evidence that he was performing the correlations for, I don't believe that especially where there's the picture, I don't believe that that is cumulative. It is representative. It's an illustration of the evidence and what he was actually looking at on the screen.
Okay. So it seems like maybe, I don't know, these reports might be one thing, and then the things like the whole list of what gets looked at
Yes, Your Honor.
in the
Shout out to
picture
Drew Beats.
might be another.
I understand.
Thank
So
you,
what we
Drew.
will do then is tender the IBIS track sheet that has the evidence that they examined
All right,
and
so,
not the reports.
okay.
So you've got 3 pages for each particular,
I,
item,
I don't know, do you? Some of them are in a little bit of a
right?
challenging order, but,
Three particular items.
Okay.
You've got the report, you've got the IBIS, and
Right.
photograph.
okay.
So I would not have any objection to the
IBIS in the photograph?
photograph. The IBIS, I would add to my objection that it contains hearsay, to the extent that it has, findings and entries on there, I believe.
It has, I'm sorry, what?
Findings and entries, information on there that is from someone else as opposed to, just Mr. Kilgore. So I object to the report, to the IBIS, but not to the photograph.
Any response, Ms. Love?
Yes, Your Honor. The correlation was done by Investigator Kilgore. The photograph is reflective of the evidence that is listed on the IBIS track report. And in as
Officer
much
Trucker
as,
T. Brooklyn, good afternoon, sir.
one sort of describes the other, we would ask that both be admitted and they are not hearsay.
Can I ask you a question?
Uh-oh.
Investigator Kilgore, the things on the IBIS track that are like the firing pin outline and inner and outer outlines, is that something that a human being puts in, or is that something that the IBIS, whatever it, or the NIBIN and IBIS generate after evaluating on their own as supercomputers or whatever?
The firing pin outline and the breech face outline and all that,
Uh-huh.
when the computer is taking the images, it has they have circles
And
that
then
go on there.
spitting out that information.
So when it takes the picture, it's measuring the diameter of the
Okay.
primer, the diameter of the firing pin impression. So that's the measurement that the computer does, so it's
Okay.
automatically generated.
I'm going to overrule the hearsay objection then. So not the reports, but the pictures in the IBIS, those documents are admitted over hearsay objection.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, I'm going to hand all these back and y'all can sort out what actually goes in. Sure. All right, is there cross?
Here it is.
All right.
Look, can I get a hold of those, please?
And Your Honor, I'm giving these to.
Okay, and so the A's and the B's would be the things that are for my records, or why don't y'all just, even at the end of the day, you can tell me what it is. That'll be fine. That'll work better.
And Judge, as I passed the witness, I was demonstrating with the witness the photograph, what they're looking at. but I
Right.
can do that on redirect, of course, permission and Mr. Adams' consent.
Okay, that's fine.
Thanks.
I
However,
did not know that, Brandon. Math major,
All right, may I
huh?
proceed?
yes.
All right, Mr. Kilgore,
Yes, sir.
I've got just a couple questions for you, if that's okay.
Okay.
And you and I have had a chance to chat briefly about these reports that you have in court with you today. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want you to help me, if you can, to just kind of break it down, because you've testified for a while, but I think, and you correct me if I'm wrong, that we can kind of simplify it this way. You are not a firearms examiner.
I am not.
Okay. So a person that actually looks at evidence and makes a determination, for example, of whether a particular cartridge was fired from a particular gun, is a firearms examiner. That's not you.
Correct.
Okay. In your capacity, and you work for APD,
Yes, sir.
right? You work with their lab.
Yes,
All right. What you do, if I heard you correctly, is that you receive items of evidence tied to particular cases, right?
yes,
Those items of evidence come into you from whoever the case agent is, the case detective or police officer, right?
yes,
So, for example, a detective, I'm just using this name, Thorpe, might submit cartridge cases to the lab for them to be recorded, analyzed, for you to examine their characteristics. Is that fair?
Yes,
All right. You were asked on direct examination, okay, who's the suspect? What's the suspect name or the victim name or something like that? You remember those questions?
yes,
That's not something that you do. You don't make a determination as to who a potential suspect is or who a potential victim is in a particular case that comes to you, right?
no, we only record what comes in the packaging or a submission form. If it has that, we just record what's there.
Okay. So the submission form is, as you reference, when you get those items of evidence, and hypothetically, I'm talking about, let's say, some shell casings, right? You would have a submission form that has those items, and it has some information, usually filled out, I presume, by the detective,
Yes,
that has the name of a potential suspect, the name of a potential victim, perhaps.
correct.
All right. You would not know whether that's accurate or not. That's just the way the information comes in.
Correct.
A detective, for example, may label someone as a suspect. Later on, may turn out that person's not a suspect.
Correct.
All right, you have nothing to do with that.
Nothing.
All
Thank
right.
you, Ty.
And you can't vouch for the accuracy of those recitations by the detective or the case agent or police officer.
Correct.
All right. You get the items. It may be a cartridge case. True.
Yes.
Maybe a gun.
Short day today, but a friendly reminder to hit the like button on your way in.
Yes.
It may be a projectile, perhaps.
We
Or not.
sometimes get projectiles, but the NIBIN system is not set up to do projectiles.
Okay. In the case of, for example, a cartridge case, a shell casing, you would do a visual inspection, that may be the wrong word, analysis of it to determine what some characteristics that it may have,
Correct.
right? All right. Once you've done that, you input those findings into the machine. Is
Yes.
that right? Is there a step in between that, or am I still on the right track?
No, once we determine which cartridge case, then
Uh-huh.
we'll pick that cartridge case and it gets entered into the NIBIN machine.
Okay, so just to break that part down a little bit, you may have an evidence submission that comes in with 10 cartridge cases, right?
Correct.
You'll pick maybe one out of those 10.
Correct. Once we triage it.
Okay, triage.
Triage is what I explained earlier. So if we get 10 cartridge cases and 5 of them are 9mm and 5 of them are 40s,
Mhm.
we'll separate those out first by caliber.
Right.
And then from there, we'll look at the firing pin impression.
Mhm.
You know, if they're all circular, then we'll look to see if we see any similarities
There you go.
and then pick one.
Okay.
But if there's no similarities
Mhm.
or they're different shapes, then we'll again separate it out into another group.
Okay.
But that's just triaging to do a preliminary, I guess, a division of them.
Okay. They have similarities, then you pick one out of that group.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And again, that's not a final determination. That's just kind of preliminary determination.
Preliminary, correct. Once the firearms examiner looks at it, they'll make the final determination to say, yes, all of these came from the same firearm, or no, they didn't.
Right. But when it's there with you, that determination is not being made there.
I cannot do that, no.
Right. You put it into the machine, and that's what is it called? The IBIS 3D HD?
Yes,
Okay. You put it into that machine makes a determination, the machine does, that this particular item may be matched to another item in its system, in the NIBIN system.
correct.
Okay. All right. Kind of like a fingerprint, perhaps.
Yes,
All right.
similar to the APHIS system, yes.
Okay. Like the APHIS system, where you got a fingerprint, and the machine may say this fingerprint is a potential match to a fingerprint from some other case.
Yes,
Okay. All right. Now, that's not the end of it, though, because once that determination is made that there is a quote unquote lead by the machine, then the items are sent to a firearms examiner to make a final determination.
correct.
That is why you said earlier a couple of times that the computer determines that they may be a potential match.
Yes,
Right? Because potential meaning it may end up being a match, it may not have enough characteristics that an
correct.
expert would say these two things match.
Right.
And when I say these two things, meaning you may have a shell casing in one case that ends up matching with a shell casing in a different case, right?
Correct.
Meaning that those two shell casings may have been fired perhaps from the same gun. Correct. All right. as Ms. Love asked you, the results, the potential or preliminary results that you get do not tell you who possessed a particular shell casing or firearm, right?
Correct.
Don't tell you how or when that shell casing, that bullet, or that gun was used, right? It doesn't tell you, even if there is a potential match, one case to another, that that item, let's say a gun, was used by the same individual in one item versus the other.
Correct.
Okay. All right, give me 1 second if you don't mind. May I have a second, Judge?
Sure.
Thank you, Sammy. I have it pulled up. We'll review it when this is done.
I think that's all, Judge. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other defense questions?
No, Your Honor.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, I was wondering. So investigator Kilgore.
I'm going to try and talk loudly enough so that I can be heard here.
Of course.
I'm going to show you what has been admitted as State's Exhibit 570.
Oh my God, the yelling.
Yankee Bravo related to
Why are you
hit
screaming?
number 444. And ask you, once this has come on the screen, if you will describe for the jury what information it is that you are looking at to perform the correlation you talked about earlier.
Like that yelling is unnecessary. The indoor voice, and she sounds like she's outside.
Publishing 570 Yankee Bravo. As we look at
Look at how
570
much-
Yankee Bravo
Oh,
on
my
the
word.
screen, would you describe?
I don't know if this is her screen. If it looks like it is, because I'm just looking at the file address. It looks like it's on a C drive. Users Adrian.love. This is her computer. This is a screen share. Ladies and gentlemen, look at how many tabs she has open. Okay? This shows you how unorganized she can be. Look at how many tabs are open. I imagine, like, I have a lot of tabs open spread across two computers. So I understand that a lot can happen. But look at how many tabs are open. Can one determine that someone's unorganized from having multiple tabs open? Who knows? But I just, that's off the bat, that's the first thing I noticed. Let's keep going.
Describe for the jury what the information is that we are looking at. Just 1 second, I'm going to get it down where you can see it. And in front of you, let me do something and move this over.
And I apologize for not asking the court's permission, Your Honor.
That's fine.
Would you describe for the jury the information that we're looking at, if you can, from what you're looking at?
Yes, so this column is the reference exhibit. Crime lab number APD 2016-00748. This is the agency number 16103-1208. This is your test exhibit. Again, APD 2016-00514. This is the agency reference number here. This is the person who entered
Marlene zoomed in.
cartridge cases.
Marlene's catching all of them.
Current state of the crime. The dates that we created the case in Ivan. Person that created it. Modification date. And modified by the person that modified it.
And I'm going to scroll up and ask you what is on the bottom portion of that first page.
So the top part is the case information. The bottom part is the exhibit information. So we got, this one is 1-T2. The T we did designate as a test fire. So that tells me that this was a firearm. The firing pin shape was circle. The manufacturer is Remington. The firearm was 1F. That's the item number that we listed it as. Over here is the case that had a potential lead with. Exhibit 1-2, 9mm made by Winchester, circular firing pin. Category is just listed as evidence. Date of occurrence, the creation dates, date of modification. So that's those that information there.
And when you speak about modification, what does that relate to? What are you modifying?
When you enter it initially, you're automatically listed as the modifier because you saved it and submitted it to the data concentrator.
Now, scrolling up to the imagery. Well, before we get to that part, what is the portion of the exhibit that we are looking at on the screen now?
So the second page you would have if you have a test fire,
Mhm.
And it exhibits the firearm information.
Okay.
So again, it's 1F, it's a 9mm, it's made in Czechoslovakia, it's a CZ75, and then it lists the serial number. And again, the person that created it, entered it.
All right. And now going down to the last portion,
Hi, Rabbit.
I'm going to actually rotate this image and ask you to explain to the jury what it is that you're looking at when you're trying to or making a correlation. It's
Can you
scrolling
scroll
up.
just a little bit?
It is. It's slow, but it's coming.
Okay, if you
Uh-oh.
can see, there's a line right here. So this is
Listen, the Lesko has spoken. He wants me to lock y'all out. You guys know I'm nice. You know I'm nice. Do me a favor, hit the like button a little bit. Do it for me. He says AV didn't come here to play 68. She's not going to give you legal commentary, so you don't hit the like. Lock them out. I mean, I'm inclined almost. The likes look okay, but we could do a little bit better, folks. It helps me and trains the algorithm. That's why we ask. So if you can hit that as a reminder, that'd be great.
actually two different cartridge cases. So this is the reference exhibit on this side. This is the test exhibit on this side. You can see how these fine microscopic striations all look very similar. So when we see that, that tells us that there's enough similarities to warrant a further investigation by a firearms examiner to look at it closer under a microscope. So we would designate this as a lead. It's not a match. We can't definitively say it, but that's enough to tell them there's a potential lead between these two cases.
Is the image that you look at in the lab of a higher or lower resolution or the same as the one that we're looking on at?
Hannibal's like, I gave y'all 20 memberships.
It's a much higher resolution than this. We're actually looking at the actual photograph on the computer. This is just a copy of a printout.
Okay.
So the imagery is much better.
And are you able to see more, fewer, or the same amount of detail on the higher resolution photograph in the lab?
Objection, Your Honor. All of this is beyond the scope of the cross-examination appropriate for redirect.
Oh, and and the reason is, yes, you are technically correct, but she asked, could she do this? Because she was working on the exhibits, went ahead and passed the witness, but this was essentially still direct. So that's why I'm overruling, not because it's not technically correct, just
Thank you
because
for the explanation.
we went a little bit out of order with it.
Thank you for the explanation.
Thank you.
So go ahead.
You may go ahead. What were you saying with respect to the level of detail that you were able to see on the lab? Is the level of detail that you're able to see in your laboratory higher lower, or about the same as what we are looking at on the screen?
It can be higher because this is just the HD part of it and 3D, but they also have a way that you can add color to it.
Mhm.
And you can manipulate these because it's a 3D image. You can move them in and out, and you can also enlarge it so you can see it better.
When you say manipulate, are you changing the evidence in any way when you look at
Not
it?
changing when I say manipulate, because it's a 3D image, you can turn them to get the lighting right so that you can see it better.
Okay. And does that allow you to see striations and similarities even better, or the same?
It depends on the cartridge case.
Okay.
Everyone's different.
All right. Thank you. And thank you, Judge. Thank you all. That's all that I have.
Is anybody have any follow-up from, okay. All right, then I think that we are finished with you and you may be excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we're going to take a break right now. I know it's earlier than we normally do, but we're going to break now.
All right. So we've got a bit of TiVo time. Okay, so this is where I think that they discover that something is happening with defendant Nichols. We are hearing that he is not feeling well or something along those lines in the courtroom, and the judge is talking to her assistant before this break takes place, and the witness is being dismissed for now. Or at least, sorry, not dismissed, but this is a break. But it looks like they're trying to figure out what's going on with Huey. Sorry, not Huey. Nichols. I always get those two confused. Let's skip ahead since we have our TiVo time to just about
In the morning, we'll see you at 9.
here. Okay, started moving right around here. So it is interesting, unanticipated short day. It does happen from time to time. People get sick. We're all human beings, right, guys?
Nah. You want?
So we'll give that a second. But while I'm here, huge shout out to Chi-Town, who gifted 5 AV memberships. Thank you so much, Chi-Town. If we had more court time, like I'd be locking people out right now. Totally would. Thank you so much, Chi-Town. Very, very nice of you. Chi-Town is always gifted memberships. And then huge shout out to Hannibal, who gifted y'all 20. Was just like, listen, I'm done. I'm taking the cape off. I'm not saving you. You got to hit the like button. I wanted to help. I wanted to save you out, but I had to help you and save you, but I wanted to help you out. But all you had to do is hit the like button. That's it. The names must be named. If you received one of Chi-Town's membership, please say thank you to Chi-Town for that one. And huge shout out to Danielle. She's already got me an interesting email that Ashleigh Merchant has sent to the judge. So as soon as this is wrapped up, we will go ahead and take a look at the plea deal for her client. So as mentioned, me and Ashleigh were texting yesterday. We knew that this was coming. She's just like, hey, we're going to be a little bit of a delay with our scheduling as I'm getting Martinez ready for court. We're practicing all day. So I knew that they were going to be in the courtroom today.
I hate to tell
Went from
you,
that
but you're,
there.
I'm doing all right. We are not going to start your testimony this afternoon after all. And hopefully first thing in the morning, we'll see you at 9. Do you want to just let the jury know that we're finished for the day?
That is a
Laura,
detective.
could you do that? Or, yeah, you can do that. Thank you.
Speaking of, shout out to Brandon Lesko. You're going to love this, Brandon. You know that quote about the 68? This ain't no 68? That's the detective that said that. And we are going to see him. We were supposed to see him on the stand today, but it looks like we're going to see him on the stand tomorrow. That's Detective Dennis, who is the second half of the duo between him and Gaither. So we will see him on the stand tomorrow, as well as Ashleigh's client. It should actually be a pretty good day tomorrow. But let's keep going to see what they said towards the end of today's court day.
All right, so we are finished with trial testimony for the day. I don't know if you want, I mean, I know that I have the information about why. I don't know if it's okay to share with everybody the information about why. I'm kind of looking at you. Okay, all right. We are finished for the day with trial testimony, and I am going to go ahead and excuse Mr. Nichols, who is going to waive his presence for this next thing that we have are going to be discussing. But the next thing I want to discuss is something we're going to have to sort out anyway, which is, I don't know if y'all got copied on, but I got a letter through Ms. Persifield. Yeah, I think y'all, or maybe y'all on it. Yeah, the letter from Miss Merchant, from Natalie Merchant. Natalie Merchant.
Ashleigh. Shout out to Ashleigh, the names.
Merchant, and the defendants don't even know who that is because that was so long ago. But anyway, so she has some issues she needs to have, I guess, the state sort out, and we might as well just all sort it out here together. One of them is she's really not going to be available past, the 15th of November, and had apparently been told, and I guess we had, or the state had Mr. Arnold on the witness list for today, but she got told, I guess, by one of the investigators from the DA's office that it actually wasn't going to be today. It was going to be not for several weeks.
Wow.
And she just kind of, I think, is saying, could you actually give me a
Give us a date.
somewhat solid date on when he's going to be called? Are y'all able to do that? I mean, it doesn't have to be like, by the day, but,
Your Honor, so prior to getting this letter, we thought that it would be maybe that week of Thanksgiving. However, given the letter, I think some
okay,
of our
it cannot be the week of Thanksgiving. She is not available, which means he is not available after the 15th of November.
So that's why we need to look.
You have a
Did you
month.
already know that?
No, I don't think we
Oh
knew
my
about
gosh.
what she put in this letter today. We had some dates, I believe, up until October, like these last few weeks, nothing past, nothing in November. And I haven't been the one primarily speaking with her, but my understanding is we knew dates up until the end of October, nothing until November, until this
Okay,
letter.
well,
So
we now
can-
know that if y'all don't have him testify before November 15th, it's not really going to happen.
Okay, so now that we know that, we can, if you can give us till tomorrow, I think we can decide when.
All right, and then with regard to, I don't know if y'all read it yet, but she's wanting to be fairly clear that if the state intends to ask him anything other than the wording on his guilty plea, there's going to need to be a immunity order.
Yes, Your Honor, she made us
Hang on,
aware.
hang on. Don't want to talk about this when the jury room door is open. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, she didn't make us aware of that, and so that is a part of our consideration
Okay,
if we
so
decide to ask anything
Let's
outside.
get that all, wrapped up well in advance, because it sounds like she's going to probably want to come in here, maybe with Mr. Arnold, maybe without, I don't know, but get sort of, I don't know, some kind of, you'll see if you can nail it down without the court's input and just present me with an order. But if not, then I don't want to wait until the last minute. And I would, she has asked for at least a week's notice,
She has.
which I don't think is unreasonable.
Yes, and we plan on doing that, Your Honor.
All right. Well, and Mr. Nichols is still here, so you got to hear all of that too. So I guess we'll just end early today. Okay. Much to my
Right.
chagrin. All right, see everybody at, why don't we all plan to get here at 8:45.
You're out.
All right.
Okay, guys. So court is over for the day. They ended a little bit early because I believe Mr. Nichols is not feeling well. So they are dismissing it for the day. The whole thing with Ashleigh came up. So it was nice that that was talked about. But here's the best part. I got the letter. Shout out to Danielle, the best researcher on YouTube. Got me this PDF minutes after it was made available and publicly made available. So let's see what Ashleigh said, because her letters are like, they're actually super logical, and she's advocating for her client. This is probably the second or third letter we've seen in a span of a few days. And what is Ashleigh asking for? She's asking for simple scheduling, 7-day notice in advance. Why? Because she has other clients. She has other clients in other cases that she has to attend to. She's got all these open records, things that are happening with the office, the DA's office that she's working on as well. She still has other clients that are involved, or at least one of them that's involved in the Trump case as well. So she's got work to do, right? So it isn't unreasonable. She has requested that the state give her a date and time that works, because after November 15th, they're just not going to be available. We're getting into the holiday season as well. A lot of people have travel plans, things of the like. Now, I also have, and shout out to Danielle again for getting this over to us, we have her client, Martinez, Arnold. We have his plea deal as well. But let's get into this and see exactly what Ashleigh says. And huge shout out to Michael Love real quick before I dive into the letter that Michael gifted you guys 10 AV memberships. If you can do me a huge favor, and if you received one of those, please say thank you. Like, those are about to come in handy with a lot of different things, especially after my meeting with my YouTube coaches today. You're going to want to make sure you have a membership on this channel, and it's about to come in handy. Thank you so much, Michael. And he has gifted Candace a membership, Tiffany a membership, Jay a membership, Dwayne, Belle of the City, Naomi, a few other people, Pantene Pro V. Look at God. Pantene Pro V was gifted a membership by Michael Love. That is actually funny. That is funny. Let's jump on into this letter and see what Ashleigh says. So this went to Laura Persifield, which is Judge Whitaker's assistant, her judge's assistant. This is dated today, and it is regarding the State v. Williams issue with the proposed testimony of Martinez Arnold. Dear Judge Whitaker, I represent Martinez Arnold, a former defendant in the above matter. I am submitting this letter in anticipation of Mr. Arnold's upcoming testimony. The state recently advised me that the state intended to call Mr. Arnold today, October 16th, 2024. Yesterday, I was advised that he will not testify today and will likely not be called for several weeks. Notice that she put that in parentheses. She says, but they did try to let me know by next week. Mr. Arnold originally agreed to testify when he entered into his plea deal on December of 2022, now approaching 2 years ago. Mr. Arnold has kept in constant contact with me over these past 2 years to make sure that he would be available whenever the state might call him as a witness. The first time that I was contacted by the state about Mr. Arnold being called as a witness was on August 13th of 2024 by Adrienne Love. Miss Love asked if I could not appear with Mr. Arnold, if there was anyone else who could serve as a stand-in counsel for me. Do you know what's so funny about that? After this whole ex parte debacle with Little Woody, everything that happened with Little Woody and Kayla and Melnick, all of those things back in June, Miss Love asked for a stand-in in August. I didn't know that. That's funny. The irony. The irony. Do we not learn from our mistakes? On August 13th by Adrienne Love, Miss Love asked if I could not appear if Mr. Arnold with Mr. Arnold if there was anyone who could serve as a stand-in for me. I informed Miss Love that I was not willing to allow any stand-in counsel with Mr. Arnold during his testimony. And I asked for Miss Love to give me some general indication of when Mr. Arnold's testimony would be needed. On September 4th, the state told me that Mr. Arnold was needed within the next few days. Oh my God, Ashleigh. They're giving her the runaround. So that was the week that Moontung testified, the week of September 4th. I remember that because we broke a record on this channel on that day. So I remember that day distinctly. Moontung was on the stand. Remember, Moontung's testimony was not supposed to take as long as it did. So Miss Love, while she's going through everything she's going through with Moontung, she's also trying to coordinate with Ashleigh on when we're going to bring in her client next. Ironically, attached to what? A plea deal. Interesting. I want to zoom in a little bit more so you guys can follow along. Next, the state told me Mr. Arnold was needed within the next few days. I immediately emailed Miss Love and Investigator Long with a few dates for which I had leaves of absences on file for September and asked the state to provide me with an anticipated time frame from when they might call Mr. Arnold on the stand. I received no response by email, but Miss Love called my cell phone on the evening of September 11, 2024, and also sent a text asking me to reach out to Investigator Long about the timing of Mr. Arnold's testimony. I responded to the same email chain, providing all the dates we were available and a few dates I was not available. Miss Love indicated that she would be calling Mr. Arnold as a witness in September. So I wrote Miss Love and the court about 5 days for which I was on leave in September. Mr. Arnold was never called as a witness during this time, and no one from the state ever updated me on when Mr. Arnold might be called as a witness until last week. Oh my God. Ashleigh is so good at calling stuff out. So fast forward so that she just never hears from them again. On October 8th, Investigator Long emailed me and copied Adam Abate, and not Miss Love, about Mr. Arnold's testimony. We were told Mr. Arnold would be called as a witness sometime mid to latter part of the week of October 14th. That's where we are today. We were asked to meet so the state could give notice of his impending testimony. I provided a very detailed response advising the state that I could have Mr. Arnold testify beginning October 14th and any time through October 18th, and beginning again on October 22nd through October 25th. And she's right about this, guys, because remember, I was trying to nail down this interview with her, and we started talking, I think, Thursday into Friday. So Ashleigh is a planner. She's trying to plan all of these things. She was trying to schedule time with me. And she told me herself that the week of the 14th, she says, hey, AV, let's schedule it after. I don't know which day yet. And then yesterday, she's like, it sounds like it's going to be yesterday. And then she's like, it could be today. And like, they're giving her the runaround. But Ashleigh's being proactive in giving them dates, which is the point of this. She goes on to say, since Investigator Long had mentioned in his email wanting to provide notice of Mr. Arnold's impending testimony, I drafted my October 9th letter to Miss Love and copied all parties, including the court, to clarify that Mr. Arnold was not avoiding service of any subpoena and intended to testify as if called as a witness. But we just needed some accommodations such as notice to ensure that I was able to accompany him for his testimony as his attorney. On October 9th of 2024, Investigator Long emailed me that they would provide a date for Mr. Arnold's testimony within 48 hours. He also said that they would provide me with anything that the state wanted Mr. Arnold to review prior to his testimony and answer my question about whether the state intended on asking Mr. Arnold any additional questions that would involve his Fifth Amendment privilege or grant of immunity. So that's what the judge was just talking about, right? The grant of immunity, because we saw what happened with little D. We saw what happened with Moontunk, right? We know that these plea deals are at issue. Sometimes we're learning from our mistakes here. There was a big issue with Moontunk. Now they are attempting to revoke Moontunk's probation and his deal in its entirety. Ashleigh saw that play out and does not want that to happen to her client. Last week, she talked about what happened to little D. He was removed from the hospital as he was getting care for sickle cell and pneumonia. After that happens, what do? They put him in jail when he needs medical care. And then they gave him immunity. So there you could see the state trying the case or throwing the case as they try it. Shout out to Judge Whitaker. But you see all of these things play out. Ashleigh's watching it and anticipating it in the effort to protect her client. She's doing a great thing here. She's thinking ahead. And you can see all of that play out. Now, so the grant of immunity, she is putting on the table. The state didn't offer it, but she wants that to be something that they talk about, right? On October 11th, Investigator Long advised that Mr. Arnold would be called as a witness today, October 16th, but that they would keep me posted as the trial progressed. He also advised that Mr. Abate would be responding about whether there were any prior statements the state intended to use to refresh Mr. Arnold's memory and whether the state intended to ask any questions outside of the proffer he provided that may implicate immunity or Fifth Amendment concerns. In the interest of expediency and to avoid wasting the jury and the court's time, I previously had asked the state to send me any prior statements the state may wish to use during Mr. Arnold's testimony. And that's the other thing, guys. When you are prepping a witness for their testimony, although you're not an attorney that's on the defense side or on the prosecutor side, she is there to support him, but she's also doing her due diligence to take the time to prepare for that. So she's letting him know what his rights are. She's letting him know, hey, if someone answers or asks you a specific question that's outside of the scope of your testimony, you don't have to answer the question. And here are some possible responses. Ashleigh, you could tell Ashleigh's a great lawyer. You know, she's preparing her client, but she's also letting them know, hey, what documents are you going to put in front of him? What are you going to use? What pieces of evidence are you going to use to reflect his recollection? You know, sometimes you guys are hearing these witnesses on the stand and photos are being put in front of them. Reports are being put in front of them. If they wrote the report, it's just like, hey, do you remember this thing? And they may say, no, I don't remember. I don't recall. Okay, well, on page 4 of this document, do you take a look at it? Do you recall now? That's what Ashleigh's trying to get at. Like if there are any documents and things you guys are going to put in front of him, I want to help him practice and get ready by prepping him for these questions. She's doing the right thing here, right? Let's keep going. Okay, so we learned about the October 16th thing. In response today, this was yesterday, October 15th, Investigator Long responded that Mr. Arnold's testimony would not be needed this week and that the state did not anticipate his testimony taking place in the next few weeks. He wrote further, I do not have a date certain as of now. Oh my word, I would have been so sad. Mr. Arnold and I have now been on call since January of 2023. While we realize that trials are sometimes unpredictable, and we have been available for the past 22 months. Now moving into November of 2024, I am specially set for a jury trial the week of November 18th, and I will be on medical leave beginning November 22nd. Given how other witnesses have been required to testify with stand-in counsel, Mr. Arnold is very concerned that the state is purposefully delaying calling him to the stand, so he will be denied his right to have his counsel of choosing, the same counsel that negotiated and is familiar with the terms of his plea. I'm kindly asking that the court instruct the state to advise me whether, in fact, it intends to call Mr. Arnold at all so we can avoid any unnecessary waste of the parties and the court's time and resources. If the state still intends to call Mr. Arnold as a witness, and to the extent of the court can address potential evidentiary and privilege issues before they arise, and to expedite Mr. Arnold's testimony in the presence of the jury, I believe advising the court of the history with regard to Mr. Arnold's plea negotiations and plea agreement would greatly assist in the court in ruling on potential issues. All right. So that's the setup, right? We still got a few pages to go. Now, Ashleigh is not she's not dealing with the DA's office anymore. She's going directly to Judge Whitaker. And she's like, here's the issues we've had with scheduling. Here's why I can't be available after these days. Here's why my client's rights. He wants me to be there with him because I negotiated his plea with the state for him. I know all the facts. Imagine somebody going in like Moontunk or Little D, testifying. Little D chose to discharge his attorney. Moontunk did something similar. But these are, like, Ashleigh is protecting her client ahead of time, and that's brilliant. Now, let's look at the background and the history regarding his plea deal. She's getting in front of it right away, right? Here's what it says. In 2014, Mr. Arnold was charged in this indictment, that's the indictment number, to which he pled guilty to a misdemeanor and completed his sentence on February 29, 2016. In 2015, Mr. Arnold was charged in an indictment, this is a different number, to which he pled guilty under the First Offender Act and completed his sentence and was discharged and exonerated on November 1st of 2021. Mr. Arnold was able to complete the foregoing sentences without a felony conviction on his record. Despite this, in 2022, Mr. Arnold was arrested and charged for these same two underlying criminal indictments from these two indictment numbers in the current RICO indictment and held without bond in the Fulton County Jail. Despite having been able to successfully complete probation for both underlying offenses and move forward without a felony on his record, Mr. Arnold was nevertheless denied bond. Having little recourse, Mr. Arnold attempted to negotiate a plea in connection with the RICO indictment that allowed him to finally be released from the conditions at the Fulton County Jail. Notably, while the state and Judge Glanville both were unwilling to grant Mr. Arnold a bond, they were willing to let him be released on probation, provided that he provide testimony sought by the state. Mr. Arnold, however, was unwilling to make all of the statements that the court sought. So Mr. Arnold was again sent back to the Fulton County Jail to languish without bond. After further and deliberate negotiation, the state agreed to accept the statements Mr. Arnold could swear to under oath and agreed to release him on probation once he made those statements and agreed to testify for the state about those statements. Mr. Arnold agreed only to the specific statements set forth in his plea agreement, and he was very clear that he intended to retain his right against self-incrimination under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, should any party seek to question him about any matters outside of the specific statements contained in his plea proffer. On December 16th, Mr. Arnold entered into his plea, which allowed him to remain on probation. A copy of that plea colloquy is attached here too. Since the entry of this plea, Mr. Arnold has been in full compliance with all of the terms of his probation, for which reporting is set to terminate in December of this year. That's why we didn't know that. So his probation is about to end. So that's also the other reason why they want to get his testimony through as soon as possible, because then his probation is done, which makes sense. It makes total sense. The state has not suggested Mr. Arnold has not complied with the terms of his probation, nor could it. Also, as noted above, Mr. Arnold has been ready to testify within the confines of his plea agreement for 22 months. Recently, the state called one of Mr. Arnold's co-defendants to testify pursuant to his plea agreement. This witness did not receive a grant of immunity for his testimony, Moontunk, And unlike Mr. Arnold, apparently did not retain his Fifth Amendment privilege when he entered into his plea agreement. Mungtung. After this witness testified, the state filed a motion to revoke his probation, Mungtung, for what the state believed was a violation of the terms of his probation, Mungtung. The state alleged that the witness directly contradicted the special conditions of his plea agreement by disavowing the factual acknowledgments he had sworn were accurate and true during his plea agreement. Ashleigh is cooking. The state then argued that this witness had the opportunity at the time he took his plea to correctly or clarify any statements in the factual acknowledgement before affirming their truth under oath. Mr. Arnold has serious concerns that the state may, without any authority, attempt to do the same thing with Mr. Arnold. I mean, I would be concerned too. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys were Mr. Arnold. Would you be concerned that after watching what they just did to Little D, after what they just did to Mungtung, wouldn't you kind of be concerned as well? Put a 1 in the chat if you would be concerned. You want me to testify? My probation's already done. I've done my time. I did everything you guys wanted me to do. I've been waiting to testify for 22 months. You guys are giving us the runaround, and you're threatening to put Mungtung back in jail. So Ashleigh is making sure that Mr. Arnold is protected, number one. Ashleigh is also making it clear that you are not going to talk to him without me being there. And number 3, let's talk about this, Judge. I want you to see how the state has treated other witnesses. And I want you to know that my client is extremely concerned about that. Crazy. For this reason, Mr. Arnold wishes to advise the court, aka the judge, in advance of his testimony, why such action by the state would be improper and illegal. As an initial matter, when Mr. Arnold attempted to correct or clarify the statements contained in his original factual acknowledgement, he was told if he did not admit to the statements as written, he would be sent back to the Fulton County Jail, held without bond, and be placed on trial with his co-defendants. Mr. Arnold continually explained that he did not swear to all of those statements, and the state wanted him to swear in the factual acknowledgement. Notably, after Mr. Arnold was willing to return to the Fulton County Jail and stand trial, the state amended the factual acknowledgement to remove those statements for which Mr. Arnold had no knowledge. In other words, the party specifically negotiated the scope of the factual acknowledgement to significantly narrow the potential scope of Mr. Arnold's testimony, which included a separate constitutional right to remain silent. We are writing to advise you, Judge Whitaker, and the state, outside the presence of a jury, that if the state intends to call Mr. Arnold and ask him questions about facts that are not contained in his plea proffer, or questions that are worded differently from the statements in Mr. Arnold's plea proffer, and then attempt to use those statements against him, as it has been with other witnesses, in an effort to revoke his probation, Mr. Arnold will assert his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and will refuse to answer any such question. Here it is, guys. Mr. Arnold's assertion of his Fifth Amendment rights, however, which was specifically contemplated by the express terms of his negotiated plea agreement, cannot be used to revoke his probation or hold him in contempt. Shout out to Ashleigh. Shout out to Ashleigh. I'm wearing out the soundboard, guys. I'm just so excited to read this. In addition, at no time between the date of Mr. Arnold's plea and the present has anyone from the state suggested to me that Mr. Arnold would be offered any immunity for any testimony he may give. I cannot. So not only are they trying the case as it goes, just seeing how it goes. Just see how it goes. The other thing is, after all that we've seen with these other witnesses, there isn't even a discussion about immunity. Woody got it. Little D got it. You know, this witness is coming up. You obviously can't schedule it correctly. You're not even offering him immunity. With little Woody, they gave it to him. This is wild. I mean, this is crazy. Ashleigh is the GOAT. Let's keep going. This is getting good. In addition, at no time between the date of Mr. Arnold's plea and the present has anybody suggested that he would be offered immunity for any testimony he may give. Nonetheless, based on the state's history of using immunity to force additional witnesses' testimony in the middle of trial, I outlined below several issues for the court's consideration prior to Mr. Arnold taking the stand. Mr. Arnold has no faith in any immunity agreement that the state might put forth in this case, and which has been offered to other witnesses to compel their testimony under the threat of incarceration without assurances from you, Judge Whitaker, that this immunity will extend to the state's attempt to revoke his probation if they do not like how he answers questions. There's a footnote. She uses some case law here. She's using Carson v. Hames, 1977 case. It says the grant of immunity may not be conditional, and therefore the state may not condition a grant of immunity on a testimony of the witness being full, complete, and truthful. To be a valid grant of immunity, the state must make a written request, and the court must make a specific finding that the witness's testimony was necessary to public interest. Okay, so that's our first footnote. Furthermore, Mr. Arnold has no faith that the state will not use whatever he says, no matter whether he has an agreement for the DA for immunity, quote unquote, immunity against him if they do not like how he testifies on the stand. So footnote 2, the state recently filed a motion to revoke. It did not like how that witness testified on the stand. This is about Mumtu. Mr. Arnold's constitutional protections, much like a promise of immunity, ring entirely hollow when the state refuses to honor them. She's got another footnote coming up. We'll go to that in a second. With no guarantee that the state will not try to revoke Mr. Arnold's probation or charge him with another crime based on the same allegations, or deny him bail, or require him to remain in unconstitutional conditions, Mr. Arnold will only answer questions specifically negotiated and set forth in his proffer. In other words, he is asking this court to make the state honor its agreement with Mr. Arnold and not allow the state, as it has in the past, to change the terms only after it is unhappy with the testimony. That's 100% about Mumtuk. To be perfectly clear, based on the express terms of his plea agreement, the state may only question Mr. Arnold to the following. She's laying it out. This is all you can ask my client. He is a member of the Rolling Crips. He became associated or affiliated with YSL in 2015. But not that YSL is anything more than a record label. Tell him, Ashleigh. Mr. Arnold committed the other incident for which he pled guilty in the indictment, and again in 2022 in his indictment. Mr. Arnold committed the other incident for which he pled guilty to the indictment, and again in 2022 in his indictment. Mr. Arnold was present on May 9th of 2022 when a search warrant was executed, and he does not claim ownership of any of the items the government claims to have discovered during the search. Mr. Arnold also acknowledged that YSL, which he knows as a record label, has a following identifiers: clothing with YSL or Schleim, pendants with the letters YSL or slats. Colors is green for Schleim. Seen YSL members use one or more hand signs. Language that members of YSL use is slat, which means slime love all the time. Some of the language includes calling each other slime. Symbols of YSL uses and includes a green heart and a green snake. As explained above, as to any topics or questions, Mr. Arnold intends to assert his right to remain silent under the Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment protects Mr. Arnold against any statements that potentially could be against his self-interest. In the RICO indictment, the state has alleged that certain non-criminal acts were overt acts in furtherance of a conspiracy. Therefore, any statement by Mr. Arnold, even as to the non-criminal act, could be used by the state to demonstrate an overt act that could be used potentially to prosecute Mr. Arnold. In that scenario, Mr. Arnold would be forced to remain yet again in the Fulton County Jail without bond. Such an action by the state would be an obvious attempt to strong-arm Mr. Arnold into providing additional testimony, even though the state agreed to the terms of his plea offer, knowing full well to what Mr. Arnold could testify. Therefore, Mr. Arnold intends to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege against making any such statements that are not covered in the agreed upon proffer, since any statement, as the state argues, can be used against him as an overt act should the state seek to use the information for that purpose. Ashleigh's so good. She saw the game. She laid out what their patterns are, and even how they kind of trap people in to saying specific things with the language of overt acts, right? She's like, I see that play too. And guess what? We're going to talk about that. So she's laid that all out. Let's keep going. And he is asking this court to uphold the terms of his agreement and to decline any invitation to interpret his failure to testify to facts outside of that agreement as evidence of any probation violation that could be used to rearrest him. It is also my understanding that many of the questions the state may wish to ask Mr. Arnold pertain to social media posts, music lyrics and videos, and friendships and associations he has. The state has denoted certain of these facts. All right, I don't know what just happened. A YouTube video just went off. I was like, what is that? Let's go back here. The state has denoted certain of these facts or overt acts, continues to argue that other acts are admissible as overt acts in furtherance of the alleged conspiracy. Therefore, Mr. Arnold intends to assert his Fifth Amendment privilege for any questions about social media posts, musical lyrics, videos, and his friendships or associations, since none of these topics were listed in his proffer. So she's saying, you guys, I know you want to do that, but we're not going to talk about that. Despite the foregoing, Mr. Arnold wishes to make certain that he intends to fulfill his requirements of his plea deal and testify as to the matters that he's agreed to in his plea deal, above and summarized there, but only those topics. Mr. Arnold wants to make it abundantly clear that, based off of his fear that the state will seek to revoke his probation should the state seek testimony beyond that in his proffer, he only intends to respond to those specific questions, and only if they are worded in the same manner that they were posed during Mr. Arnold's plea proffer. Oh my God, this is so good. If the state intends to inquire into any facts beyond the scope of his plea proffer, Mr. Arnold is providing the court and the state with notice that he intends to assert his right to remain silent, a right he specifically protected in his plea agreement. So Ashleigh made sure that that right was in there. She did, and good for her. That is awesome. I trust this history of negotiations regarding Mr. Arnold's plea and a summary of Mr. Arnold's position on recent issues that have emerged in the context of other witnesses will assist the court in evaluating these issues should they arise during Mr. Arnold's testimony. We happily invite the state to outline its position for Mr. Arnold, the court, and the current defendants so that everyone is on the same page before Mr. Arnold's anticipated testimony, so as to ensure his testimony can be taken expeditiously, fairly, in accordance with the terms of his negotiated plea, and without a violation of Mr. Arnold's Fifth Amendment constitutional rights. Should the court wish to hear from Mr. Arnold on any of these issues in advance of his testimony, I'm happy to address them at the court's pleasure. Sincerely, Ashleigh Merchant. Give it up for Ashleigh, guys. She crushed. This letter is so well written. I'm so excited to have her on the show to, kind of talk about legal writing in general. But as you guys can see, like, she is going in there protecting her client to the fullest extent. And that means, hey, I've seen the way other people were treated. My client's seen the way other people were treated. We've seen how some of this testimony it appears to be forced. And in that plea deal, what I think is the kicker is she specifically protected the right to remain silent. They negotiated that. And she's saying, we will exercise it. So all of the BS that is kind of taking place, not even kind of, all the BS that has taken place with other witnesses, we're not doing that. And we need to make sure that our ducks are in a row. So when he's up there, it's a 10-minute conversation and as short as possible, but we are going to agree that the only things that we're going to talk about are the things that are in his plea agreement that he signed, that I helped negotiate. He's not going to show up without me. And here's why. Excellent lawyering. If you guys could type Ashleigh in the chat, that would be fantastic. So this letter was sent today. It went to, it was CC'd to Miss Love, to Mr. Abate, and every single defense attorney on the case. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Ashleigh's letter? Like, I am thoroughly impressed. Like, that was fantastic. I'm so excited to have her on. Like, now you guys see like the caliber of an attorney that's really going to protect your rights. And, you know, one thing that I love doing on this channel is teaching you guys about legal stuff. But also, if you really think about yourself, if you ever find yourself or your family member in a situation where they're dealing with the criminal justice system, that is what your lawyer should be doing for you. 100,000% is what your lawyer should be doing for you as an advocate. Want to show you one other quick thing, and huge shout out to Danielle who got that for me. Really excited about that one. I know she sent me a plea deal as well. I was going to show that to you guys earlier, but I have seemed to lose it. Boop, boop, boop. Here it is. All right, let's look at his plea deal before we go in, because now this is going to give you guys line of sight on what his deal breakers are, so to speak. What do they agree to? Let's go here. So here's his plea deal. State of Georgia versus Martinez Arnold, aka Duke. So that is his name. And if we pull up the original indictment, Duke is who we're talking about. So current charges, there were two. Count 1, Mungchung had this as well, conspiracy to violate RICO. Count 57, participation in criminal street gang activity. Here's what he negotiated to: 12 years to serve, 2 years time served, and the balance of 10 years probated. Oh my God. 57, 10 years to serve, 2 years commuted to time already served, balance of 10 years probated, all of which will run concurrently with count 1. All right. I, Martinez Arnold, will testify truthfully to all matters about which I'm questioned, but reserve the right to assert my Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. In particular, I will testify that, this is everything Ashleigh outlined. 1, I'm a member of the Crips. 2, I became associated with YSL in the year of 2015 at the age of 27. 3, on October 1st, I was assaulted by members of a rival gang at a local club. After being assaulted, I called Diamante Kendricks, Doug Weinstein's client, and armed with an AK-47 and a handgun, together we traveled towards Tessel Tree Apartments in Atlanta, Georgia, and searched for rival gang members that assaulted me. I pled guilty into participation of criminal street gang activity and conspiracy to commit aggravated assault for my actions during this indictment. 4, on May 9th, I was present at the home of Jeffrey Williams, King Slime, when a search warrant was executed and police recovered drugs and guns. I do not claim ownership of the guns and drugs found by the police. I will possess no guns during the term of my sentence or any time after, unless my rights are to do so are restored. I will not commit criminal acts. Now, these are his acknowledgments. This is where Mungchung had an issue with his plea agreement. So let's look at this. Here's his factual acknowledgement. Well, let me not say factual. Let's go with acknowledgement. All statements below are truthful. 1, identifiers of YSL are wearing clothes with the words YSL or slime. B, wearing pendants displaying the letters of YSL or the word slat. This is so crazy to me that they put this in a plea deal. All of this because they want this guy to say, they want to prove that YSL is a gang this much. Oh, I'm sorry. I had it on this view. Let me bring it bigger, guys. They want to prove that he is like YSL is a gang that much. This is in his plea deal. Let's keep going. One of the colors for YSL is green for slime. 3, I have seen YSL members use one or more of the following hand gestures. A, wiping of the nose with the index finger. B, curling the ring and pinky finger inward towards the palm while extending the index and thumb with the middle finger slightly curved. I don't even know how to do that. Like, wow. 4, language that members of YSL includes slat, which means slime love all the time. B, calling each other slime. 5, symbols that YSL uses includes a green heart and a green snake. That's it. Let's go back to this plea deal. Let's keep reading. If I violate this plea agreement, the DA can and use this statement during any judicial proceeding. Any violation of this plea agreement may result in the remainder of my entire sentence being revoked. And Fonnie Willis will recommend that I serve any remaining portion of my sentence in the Georgia Department of Corrections, aka prison. D, no promises, agreements, or conditions have been made other than those set forth in this document, and none will be entered into unless memorialized in writing and signed by all parties. I, Martinez Arnold, have read and carefully reviewed this agreement. I fully understand this agreement. No promises other than those contained in this document may have been made to me in furtherance of this agreement. I freely, knowingly, and voluntarily enter in this agreement without force, threat, or coercion. Martinez Arnold, Duke, Ashleigh Merchant, Adrian Love. That's it. That's his. Hold on. Is Rico here? Where? Have you guys seen Rico? I haven't seen Rico. Rico? Y'all see? Is Rico on the? Where's Rico? I can't find Rico, guys. I can't find Rico. Did y'all just see Rico? I was looking for Rico. I mean, what the hell is this case? I do not understand. I don't. Let's read these super chats because I mean, this is why Ashleigh's amazing. I mean, let's read these super chats before I lose it. Shout out to Von Sheila, who became a member. Welcome to our community. We're looking for Rico. We're on the hunt. We're on the prowl. Shout out again to Red Bunny Classic, who became a member herself and then gifted 10 memberships. Shout out to D with the $2, says the state got the judge in a bad mood. Yes, we saw that. Shout out to YSL Mike and Quez. We talked about your bull. Hope you enjoyed it. Shout out to Lee across the pond out there in the UK. She says, guys, hit the like button. It costs nothing. Thanks in advance. Thank you so much. Shout out to B. Let's go in the chat today. He says, don't read your other chat either. Casper typed it for me. I think that was a typo, but thank you so much, sir. Shout out to D with the 2. Says, go AV7 with these interviews and documentaries. Yeah, I can't wait to talk to Ashleigh, especially after just reading those 2 documents. That is crazy. That I don't think a lot of people are talking about. That I think more people need to know about. And I'm happy I stayed on a little bit longer after court ended to review that with you guys. Huge shout out to Danielle for pulling those so quickly so that way we can dive in. Let me know where you guys think Rico is. Where is he? I mean, I can't find him in this office. Shout out to Hannibal again, who gifted 20 memberships to you guys. Drew Beats with the 5 says, have they proven anything yet? I mean, Drew, what do you think after reading that? I don't know. Is this some new type of math for space travel? Love you, AV. Thank you so much, Drew. Really appreciate that. Shout out to Trucker T Brooklyn with the 2, says afternoon community. Hope you're being safe on the roads out there. B, let's go back with another 10, says now I do like to have fun, but many moons ago I was a math major. Did not know that about you, Brandon. And nobody will follow whatever point he's trying to prove. But we got more exhibits. So cheers to that. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You really can't. Shout out to Ty with the 2, says, is the path to RICO? I think not. Well, after reading that, Ty, I agree with you. I concur. Trucker T gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Trucker, for expanding the community. Brandon, let's go back again with another 5. Thanking Trucker. Sending a super chat to thank Trucker. This community is amazing. Shout out to Honeybee Free, who I believe figured out how to super chat. She drops a $2. No comments, no question. Pure love of the game. Thank you so much. Honeybee also became a member herself. Thank you. B, let's go back again with another 10. It says time to show everyone the YSL faith. Lock them out so they can find the like button. Thank you guys for hitting the like button. We're almost kind of equally matched with the amount of viewers and likes. So keep that coming. Thank you so much, B. Let's go for the reminder. Shout out to Mush. Been a member for 3 months, says love is yelling to wake up the jury. She did get a little loud towards the end of the day. B, let's go with another 10, says AV didn't come here to play 68. How interesting was that same detective that made that statement was about to testify today, but it looks like it's going to happen tomorrow. He says she's not going to give you a legal commentary, so you don't hit the like button, lock him out. He recommended y'all got locked out twice today, and I didn't do it. I'm so nice. Shout out to Chi-Town, who gifted 5 memberships. Mike Love jumps in with another 10. Thank you guys. Man, this community is so great. Shout out to Carl with the 5, says Fonnie can't stand Ashleigh. Fonnie will pull the strings through her minions, i.e. Love, Hilton, and Atkins et al., to mess with Ashleigh. And Ashleigh's fighting back. She's like, no, you're not going to do this to my client. Look at how you guys are handling other witnesses. Jeez. Can anyone get a fair trial? Can any witness get fair treatment? Do not strong arm people to testify, and don't try to revoke their probation because you don't like what they said. So we're going to see what happens with Moon Tunk on Friday. His hearing is scheduled at 4 p.m. Lean and I were just texting about this yesterday. We're really, really interested to see that particular part of the trial. Likely going to happen on his side, but we'll keep you guys posted as our scheduling works. We really do this like day by day, right? Thank you so much, Carl. Shout out to Mixed Chick Sammy with the 10. She gifted 10 memberships. Thank you so much, Sammy. One of my favorites. Mod over here is always holding it down. Sister to the channel. Thank you so much. Shout out to Carl with the 5, says Ashleigh Merchant's open record lawsuit is living proof Fonnie hates Ashleigh. Dexter Bond was an absolute asshole to Ashleigh. He was. We watched a little bit of that during, I think we were watching the YSL trial. And since it was happening a few doors down in the same courthouse, we peeked in, like I showed you guys what was happening. And Dexter Bond was just very evasive. In fact, I think Danielle has emailed me RICO. I saw the meme. They just flagged it. But the interesting thing, Danielle, and Danielle did like an open, I think it was like she was asking for some information for one of the documents that was posted in the trial this week, or one of the letters or something like that. And the response she got from the Fulton County DA's office, it was likely Dexter Bond, was like a 2-word thing, like records do not exist. It was like crazy. So Carl, thank you so much for mentioning that. Look who we have. We have Kat, not Williams, sister to this channel. I miss you so much, Kat. Like whenever we're trial streaming, we're like 2 boats in the night. Like we always just miss each other. But it's so good to see you on my side, Kat. Thank you so much for gifting 10 AV memberships. Kat is crushing it. If you guys haven't checked her out, sometimes when people want recommendations for channels to check out, I always recommend Kat. She is fantastic. Her community is great over there. She's growing as a YouTuber. I'm so proud of her. And, over the years, she has just always supported me and Lead. And I'm just really happy to not only call her as a friend to the channel, but I'm just so happy of her growth and proud of her growth as well. So the fact that you are helping my community grow is huge, Kat. Thank you so, so much. If you received a very special Kat Not Williams membership, it's like having a VIP pass. Say thank you to Kat if you received one from her. Super, super nice of her. And she's been a member for 7 months. She's been here for 7 months, spent some time with me. Thank you so much, Kat. We collabed at one point. She said, no, Ashleigh wrote this for the soundboard. I mean, the soundboard, I was wearing it out because it's just such a great, it's a well-written document. So huge shout out to Ashleigh for that one. And thank you so much, Kat, for your time with us. Shout out to Donald with a $5 super sticker. Don, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in a little while. Good to see you today. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Daryl with the 10 says, I don't understand how this isn't double jeopardy. Daryl, me and you both. RICO doesn't remove the privilege. What are we witnessing begs for a higher state authoritarian ruling. These are not appeal issues, but violations. I mean, yeah, and you guys know Ashleigh's great at exposing what's actually happening behind the scenes. And so that whole thing that they're doing with, overt acts, he's done the time for the crimes that are listed in the indictment. That's how they're getting around it. Does it make it right? No. Does it make it legal? So I agree with you, Daryl. And especially you guys that live in Georgia, I'm, highly considering moving back. It's too cold here. I walked the Luna, it was 40 degrees. It's too cold here. I mean, now I'm like adjusted to in an Atlanta or Georgia climate. I can't do the northern thing anymore. So I'm likely going to finish some stuff up here and then head back down. My sister just had a baby today. So I'm going to be spending some time with some family up here, finishing up a few things, tying up some loose ends. And I think this time I'm going to buy down there. But if you are living in Georgia, you really need to know what's going on behind the scenes, especially as a voter, especially as someone that could be impacted in the criminal justice system. Like, you really need to know what's going on. So thank you so much, Daryl. Shout out to Hannibal, who is your stream sponsor with the 50. Hannibal says, girl, damn. Thank you, AV. Thank you, Hannibal. Hannibal has gifted you guys 20 memberships. I think this puts him right around 100. So let me add you to the banner. If y'all could do me a huge favor, type Hannibal in the chat. That would be fantastic. Thank you to, I can't even type in Hannibal. I'm sorry. I'm verbally saying this because, guys, the batteries to my keyboard died. Sorry, you build it as you fly it. So I got to replace those after the stream. So I'm just going to do things with a mouse for right now. But if y'all can type Hannibal on my behalf in the chat, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much, Hannibal, for being today's stream sponsor. Shout out to Keon, who became a new member. Welcome, Keon. Welcome to the community. Red Bunny Classic is back with the two Canadian bucks. Says Rico is at Chick-fil-A. Rico very well may be there. I think Rico passed by in my chat earlier. So she's like, hey, Rico, how you doing? He's like, hey, man, let me know when the case is over. He left. He was in and out. It was great. Shout out to V Simon with the 2 says, is Rico in Leeds Tahini bottle? Could be. If Rico is in the Tahini bottle in Leeds cupboard, that is a possibility of where Rico could be. Danielle, thank you so much for all the emails today. You have no idea how much you mean, like getting stuff done. Like now my team, I'm like, if you see anything from Danielle, flag it in green. We have a system. So thank you so much, Danielle. She emailed me a fun meme. I'll probably put that on my on the Twitter tonight. Thank you so much, Danielle. Kat is back again with the 5. So side note, this week, Courtney Clenny filed a notice of intent to use battered spouse. I can't. Kat, what? Oh my God. All right. So if you don't know who Courtney Clenny is, I think I did a collab with Remy, Chandler Remy, Remy Legal. I did a collab with her the start of the summer on the Courtney Clenny case, and we were looking at the parents getting arrested. It was all types of a mess. Courtney Clenny is a former OnlyFans model who was jailed for stabbing her boyfriend. And the way she did it, she said that she threw a knife from across the room, landed in her boyfriend's chest. It hit a vital artery and he died. She was very violent, extremely violent, toxic woman all day. So the fact that Kat is telling us that she is going to intend to use battered spouse defense is crazy to me. because the man died. Black man, she's a white woman. More on that case soon, but it is happening in Miami. I don't know if we have a trial date for that one yet, Kat, but I know a lot of people are interested in the outcome of that one. But thank you so much, Kat Not Williams, for stopping by, and thank you so much for the $5 super. Shout out to Scott with the 5. Scott says attorney Wright must have got his law degree from Briggs in Stratton. He got 35 years, but agreed to YSL propaganda and knowledge of who killed JFK too. Yeah, look at this. To compare to the plea deal that was negotiated for Moontung. Oh my God. If we did a side-by-side comparison, like Ashleigh secured his constitutional right. So it's possible to negotiate that within the plea deal. I don't think Moongtung's lawyer put that in there. Lord. Thank you so much, Scott. Really appreciate you. Shout out to Wrench Turner. Oh my God, the South's gonna rise again. I haven't seen you in so long, Wrench. He says, A Vizzle to the 7th Pizzle. The South's gonna rise again. I just saw your name. I didn't even read that part, but we are on the same page. He says, super proud of you, good sister. Thank you so much. Yeah, channel is growing. We're doing great over here. I think we're somewhere around 54K soon. Had a great conversation with the YouTube strategist today just to get everything in line because trial streams a lot. Kat will tell you guys, like we're sitting in this chair for a long time throughout the day. So we want to make it sustainable to make it work for you guys, give you the content that you want. For those of you that don't have time to sit through 8 hours, we want to give you short form content as well. So thank you so much. Wrench Turn, I saw you in my feed. Like, I think it was like 2-3 days ago. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm happy that you are still doing your thing on YouTube as well. Shout out to the International Quiet Storm, one of my mods, probably the first member I've ever had in this society. Seriously, 18 months. You know what I was thinking, right? I'm not going to say it. He says, can we get AV to 2,000 likes? Gracias. Yeah. I mean, we're not far off. It's 200. It's 200 of you can hit the like button. You can do it for me. Please. Thank you so much. And shout out to the International Quiet Storm. I am not going to know how to pronounce this. So I'm going to call you KD. KD drops $20. Thank you, KD. And KD says, AV, based on what's going on in the whole GA court system, I see unfairness on so many levels. What would it take to overhaul their whole system? It seems unfair, even with the defense attorneys too. Yeah, well, that's why I'm really excited about the conversation with Ashleigh Merchant, experienced criminal defense attorney, has been practicing in the state of Georgia for so long, knows the courts in and out. I actually want to ask this question to her. You know, I think it would be rightly directed towards her because I think she might have some ideas on how we could see some real change in the state. Especially with Brian Steele almost nearly being jailed if she didn't step in with GACTL. I think it's the Georgia Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. You guys saw Lee's best friend. We haven't talked about him in so long. Arturo, I think, is the VP of GACTL, and Ashleigh is the president. So I'm sure that they have some ideas when it comes to reform, but it is going to require some overhaul, KD. So I'm really excited for that conversation. Please make sure that you tap in and remind me so we can ask her this question together, because I think that would be a good one. Actually, I'm going to have someone on my team make sure that we capture this one after the stream ends so we can add it to our outline of questions we're going to ask her. Thank you so much, KD. Good one. Shout out to Aducci's mom with the 5 says, I found Rico. He's hanging out with Fannie's campaign slush fund. Our favorite law student posted a video. I believe it was Sunday night. Interesting. Thank you so much, Aducci's mom. Shout out to Antoine Downs with the 2 says, I did these crimes. Listen, the merch, you guys are buying up the merch. We have Where is Rico Post-its. I take these to the grocery store. So whenever I'm like, hey, I need to make sure I get almond milk or whatever, I'm always reminding myself to look for Rico. Please check it out if you have not already. I think the link is in the description box. Thank you, Antoine. Shout out to I Love Curly Hair with the 5 says, AV, I'm working 16 today. Wow. She says, thank you for making my day great. Rico is not at the Houston airport. Been here all day. So shout out to Loves Curly Hair. She works at the Houston airport. She is working long hours. Both Lead and I make her days go by fast. She is always listening to us, always supporting. So thank you so much. Loves Curly Hair. How's the weather down in Texas? Let us know. All right, guys, let me come to my Cash App crew. There's a few of you guys over here. Lots of messages I need to respond to. Let's come over here and see what you guys have. First one I saw, I think I might have missed this on lead side, but shout out to your main man, Mush. He hits me with the 5, says blessings, AV. Thank you so much, Mush. Sorry I missed that one earlier. Shout out to Polish Lucy. Good to see you, Luce. She sends $25. She says, just because I adore you, good to see you, Luce. Husband and wife team, content creators themselves. If any of the mods are hanging around, if you can drop the link to Trainwreck Entertainment, it would be fantastic. What do they cover over there? Legal court cases. I believe that there's a judge that a lot of their people like, and she's really hilarious. You may want to check that out. Thank you so much, Luce. Shout out to, I think I saw this earlier, Sally Sunshine with the spoiled dog. Thank you so much, Sally. Collectively, she sends $15 and says, thanks for all you do. Thank you so much, Sally. And I hope your dog is enjoying the bandana. That is a reminder for something. Shout out to Michael Love with the 80. Michael, thank you. Not only was he gifting memberships on this side, he dropped me an $80 Cash App. He does it all the time to remind myself to eat. Sometimes I work way too hard. He says, for dinner, you choose what you want to eat. Thank you so much. Usually he hits me with recipes, but I ordered some pasta earlier for lunch that I still have not eaten yet. So I'm going to eat that. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. A few emails from you guys. A few things flagged. I think that catches us up. Wow. What a letter. I'm still surprised at that letter. Ashleigh did an amazing job. Well, guys, here's the plan. We had a really funny moment at the start of the day. My editor just finished that. So in a few minutes, you're going to get the clip from earlier of me and Lead laughing at the hilarious moment with one of the ADAs where the judge unfortunately chewed him up. So that is fresh out of the editing booth. I'm not even going to premiere it. I'm just going to drop it in a few minutes. Let me know what you guys think. Mimi wants to see a picture of Mr. Arnold. I'm sure it's hanging around somewhere. I'll be honest, Mimi, I'm starving. So what I'll do is if you catch us on lead side, I have like a full PowerPoint of operations planters with every defendant's picture. Actually, let me just see if I can grab it for you. Well, I can't because of my keyboard situation. I'm sorry, Mimi. I will find it, and Lead and I will, as soon as we go live tomorrow, we'll start with that. So that way you see it. But thank you so much, Mimi, and for your curiosity, because that's why I like talking to the attorneys. I really want them to tell us more about their clients. You know, not what the state is saying about their clients. I want the attorneys themselves to tell us about their clients. You know, Doug was here, and it's going to be great to have Ashleigh on. And I think at some point I may want to talk to Max. I don't know what his preference is, if it's after the case ends or whatever the case may be, but he's super friendly. We've been in contact too. So it's going to be nice to have Max on here as well. Yes, thank you. Here comes drama. You see, you guys take care of me. You're like, go eat. All right, I'm going to go eat. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Bye.